Hello there, Ray here, and what you see behind me is a flying machine that can place in floors automatically for an infinite amount of distance. If you guys seen the last Prototech episode, we had this really cool flying machine which is placing in over 100,000 carpets, and this was for the floor of our jungle perimeter. You guys can check out that episode if you haven't seen it already. There's a really cool time lapse of the entire thing getting filled in automatically. And this is the actual fly machine in which we use. Now we come up with quite a few different fly machines to put in floors in the past. You can see them all lined up right here. Each is a little bit different to take advantage of something. If you're curious on how these all work, I will recommend you watching the previous video where I cover each of these individual flying machines and how they work. But today I'm going to be concentrating on this design here, which is a modified setup of our previous flying machine. Now in all the previous designs, we went ahead and just had a system to give the players items. Then the player would take those items, place it into the machine, and the machine would spread the items out as large as you want. So something like this, we have a larger setup, so you can kind of see how it works. The player would be standing over here. He would be given items from this water stream. He'd be placed them into the system here, and the system has pistons which are going to take the blocks and spread the blocks out along the entire distance. So even though the player placed a block way over there, the blocks would eventually move all the way to the very end, and you can make this as wide as you want. And there's also a really cool time lapse of this machine working in the previous floor building tutorial video. For this new system here, all the items are actually duplicated with the machine as it's moving forward. So you don't have to have any type of system to give the player more blocks to place in. The way that we accomplish this is we have a carpet duper attached to the fly machine, so it is producing more and more of whatever type of carpet you want, and then the player is right here to pick them up and put them into the system. So let me show you this thing turned on. So there is an off switch right here. So if I turn that on, that's going to turn on the clock which is moving the items that direction. There's also a separate clock here which will turn on and off the carpet duper. So if I remove that, there you go, carpet duper is in place. Now this current carpet duper you see right here will work for 1.13, 1.14, 1.15, and any version above that. The one you've seen in our video was set up for 1.12, so slightly different, but you can probably tell the only difference was actually switching the coral plan out for a normal rail. So now we are ready to go ahead and use machine. We can come over here. I can even go into survival mode, aim right there, just put down a weight on my right click button, and I can go AFK. And this machine will be placing down a huge area worth of carpet indefinitely. I can go into F5 mode. You can kind of see how it's working. This is how it looks. You can see everything moving forward. So we have as a player placing carpet directly ahead. Carpet duper is off to the right. And every time the duper goes forward or backwards, it will duplicate carpet. And you notice that there is sometimes a delay on how the duper moves forward. But the duper actually produces twice as much carpet as the player needs. And this is good. That way the player never runs out, even in circumstances where the machine takes a little bit of time to move forward. Since the duper does have a slime block in front of it, when the duper moves back and forth, it will sometimes push the items way off to the left-hand side. But the player will eventually restock any items that are missing from the stack that he's using to place down. Now by having the actual duper move with the machine, we're capable of going an infinite amount of distance, especially if you choose a place like the nether ceiling, which is already flat. You don't have to do any type of preparation, as the machine likes nice flat areas, and it will just keep on placing the blocks down. Another ceiling, you also have the little mushrooms that grow up there, but the machine will just push these carpets and break those off, so those won't affect the machine. Also in the nether, there is pockets of lava, which you might think could burn the carpet, but the pockets of lava don't actually get very close to the top layers of the nether ceiling, so they shouldn't be able to reach the carpet to start it on fire. This is something that Saniki actually looked into when he was designing the nether ceiling bedrock breaking flying machine. So hopefully he'll do a video about that someday. Now you can use this to pretty much go anywhere you have a flat surface. If you wanted to do this in like a large flat perimeter like we did on the Prototech server, where we went down to Y level 0 bedrock and then placed carpet on top of it. Or you could just dig down until you get to the layers of the bedrock. Even though they're kind of weird shaped, you can come in here and fill in any of the gaps. And then once you have the place full, then you can come in back with the machine and it will fill in all these holes. Now if there is a hole, then the machine is just going to push carpet over top of it. The carpet's going to pop off. There is a wide range of carpets to choose from, so you have quite a selection for items to duplicate if you're trying to go for a specific kind of color scheme. Like in the jungle perimeter, we kind of like the same color that we did with their melon wall, which was kind of a lime green color, so we went with the lime green carpet and it turned out really nicely. But besides just duplicating carpets and using them for a floor, you can also use other things. So another thing you can duplicate is rails. If you guys see my last video, I showed a couple different rail dupers for like 1.15, so you can actually put these onto this machine. So I switched out the machine with a rail duper. All I did was move the coral up to the top and then put the rail underneath. Now let's go ahead and start it up, and you can see it's duplicating rails. And then what you can do here is stand right here just like as before, and you would be in survival mode. Just place down rails. Oh wait, I gotta turn this on still. Okay. And then you just right click and have the right click button held down. Now this machine is designed to fill in like a large area, so I guess if you have a really large area that you need to place down rails, you could use this machine if you don't want to manually place them in. But you could also use this to spawn proof it, as mobs will not spawn on top of rails. Now depending on which direction you place the rails in, you might get this kind of thing to occur, which is kind of odd looking, but I'm guessing if this got quite large, it would look pretty cool. Essentially what's happening is this rail here doesn't get updated when it's last placed, and instead it connects to the new rail that you place, and then it kind of stays that way, and the next one, same thing kind of happens, and it repeats. So it might actually look like a pretty cool design when you're done. Maybe we'll have to do that on the project server, make an entire floor just out of rails. Of course, there's quite a few different variations of the rails. Let's go ahead and stop this. You also got like your detector rails, your normal rails, and your activator rails. And each of these also work pretty much the same way as the powered rails. So if you go ahead and use these, you can kind of see they will straighten out eventually, just like the other ones. Same goes for the activator rails. They'll also try to straighten out. Where the normal rails won't really do that, they'll just try to connect to whatever is close to them. So you can kind of see how they're just moving along and updating. It looks actually really strange how they're updating. But if you ever get like a straightaway area, then the rails won't kind of connect to other stuff, so then it looks normal. But maybe you could kind of start out by doing some weird design, and then the rails would continue to connect that way over and over again. So you could make some pretty cool patterns with the normal rails. Maybe if you had like a very large mob farm where you're picking up the loot with hopper minecart, you could use this kind of system to place down all those rails. The main problem is that hopper minecarts and minecarts in general are not very dependent over long periods of time. So here you can kind of see the results of the rails. They will eventually straighten out like this, and of course the normal rails will like to curve at the end of it. I actually designed a specific machine to make an infinite rail system across the nether. So if you're looking just to make a super long rail system, I actually designed one of those specifically. Not only it will allow the player to automatically place down all the rails while being AFK, it also powered them too, so they'll stay powered. So then all you have to do once you're done is hop on the rail system and then take off down it with your minecart. Pretty cool contraption. It's very small as well, so definitely check that out if you're looking to do a very long rail system. And of course the machine is all AFK and automatic. So I won't go over this device here or this one as it was covered in the previous video. I'm just going to talk about the extension that we added onto this. So what we got here is actually two extensions. We got a piston here which is moving this extension, and this only consists of this observer clock here. So just two observers back to back which are creating a pulse right over here. Then we have another extension which consists of this piston and this observer here. Every time it moves forward, the observers, this one as well as this one, are going to power these two pistons, pushing their two extensions in front of them. This extension consists of the actual duper, which is the sticky piston, these sticky blocks, and these pieces over here, and also this terracotta block. And essentially what happens when it moves forward is it doesn't matter if it's extended or retracted, it will push this segment forward. But the first thing it's actually going to do is push this segment. So this segment consists of the clock, and it'll get moved over here, so the clock won't be able to constantly be powering this piston over here. So let's see if I can illustrate that. Let's move this forward a little bit. So when I put this next block in, it's going to reach the push limit, and then this piston won't be able to extend, making the machine move forward. When it moves forward, what's going to happen is it's going to move the power source out of the way, and then shortly afterwards it's going to push this segment forward. And by that time the piston here will not be pulsing anymore, and it will be able to get stuck to one of these two slime blocks depending if it's extended or retracted, and then moved forward with the device. Let's go ahead and put that piece in. You guys can watch it happen. Kind of see it works pretty fast. And then once they move forward, they can start up again. This clock here starts to pulse, and this piston starts to go back and forth and duplicate more stuff. Now in some cases, if you happen to start this at weird times, the piston can kind of get stuck, but once you find a timing that works, it should always work. You can kind of see how this clock over here and this clock over here are pretty much moving at the same pace, but they're not moving at the exact same time. So it might be possible to kind of start these two machines at the same time And then maybe you wouldn't ever run into a problem where one gets left behind. So let me see if I can actually illustrate it occurring. Like there, it got kind of stuck back here. But once the rail came over here and updated this, it updated this piston, which made it push it forward. Now that I think about it, that's probably even a safer route than having that there. Let me just try that out. I think that will probably actually fix any issue of it accidentally get left behind, because now technically it won't even move forward until the player has placed in rails. The machine moves forward, that device stays there until the player places in rails. Hey, I think that will fix any problems that people might have without synchronizing the two together. So that's up to you guys if you want to place in that observer or not. With this system here, it will take a couple more rails each time. Like from here to here, it's about 4 rails. So you'll place on 4 rails before the duper will start. The duper is producing twice as many rails as you need, so you should be able to replenish, especially if you got a longer strip than this. This strip is kind of short. And then to turn them off, you just need to place like a redstone block here, and you want to place like a redstone block along this piston here, so you can place it back here or on the side. Sometimes it's kind of hard to click on these moving pistons to actually place a block there, so it's easier to place it like on the side there, and it won't affect anything else around here. Now when using this on single player, it's not too difficult to have the player be pushed along with blocks like in front of him like this, because there's really no disconnect between you and the server. On multiplayer, you might have problems that your player kind of clips into the block here and then gets pushed forward a little bit later. Now we never actually had this problem over the 20 hours which we put in our floor on the Protect SMP server, but it is possible for the server and the client to kind of disconnect. So your client might think the player is here, the server might still think the player is back here, and you might clip into this block in front of you. Now it is a block that won't suffocate the player, so you won't have to worry about damage, but it is possible that instead of you getting pushed back this direction, you might push out the side or something. Now there is a way to fix this if the machine would push the player while inside of a minecart, and you can do this with this system as well. So from here you should be able to reach that block down there. You can also click up on this trap door as well, and then when it moves forward you should be able to move with it. Let's go ahead and try that. Yeah, the minecart was moved, so was the player. That might be a good way of doing it if you want to sit inside of a minecart and do that. Right up against the edge with this trap door here. That's what it looks like. And it looks like it's working good. And that's with the observer over there. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it. You just got to be kind of creative when choosing a place to put your minecart. Now the items that get thrown over here will clump up, so there won't be that many entities here, and then they'll eventually despawn after 5 minutes. So you don't have to worry about a large amount of lag occurring from those. We really had a lot of fun designing up these machines, and it was a little tricky coming up with a system to move the dupers along with it, but we managed to get it to work. And if you're curious how any of these are built up, we will provide the real download in the description so you guys can come on and see how block for block to build these up. And I always recommend testing stuff like in a backup world before doing it up on your server. If you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to go ahead and share it with others so they can learn about cool things you can do with fly machines, as well as drop the video a like. If you're ever wondering what is the best way to support my channel, it's just by sharing what I do with other people who play Minecraft. But if you would like to support me even more, I do have a Patreon where I do have rewards for different levels. So if you're able to join my Patreon, I really appreciate that. And I really have fun with the different rewards. And with the rewards, it allows me to get to know you guys better. And you guys are able to showcase your work through me. So if you haven't took a look at my Patreon page, I'll link it down below. And I would like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.